Welcome to the Hard Faith podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Folmar, the founder of Hard Faith. I've been working in the film and television industry for over 16 years. On Hard Faith, we're about asking difficult questions about life and faith in an R-rated world.
Today, we have author and filmmaker and writer Sean Gaffney, professor at Asbury University. Welcome to the show, Sean.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate being here. I love being welcomed because the welcomes are always like so warm.
Yes. And we were recently reintroduced by our mutual friends over at the Overthinkers podcast, Joseph and Nathan.
And Nathan, yeah.
And they do one of the best intros for people ever. I mean, especially Joseph. I mean, he is just...
They do.
It's dynamic.
I told him I wanted to take that clip and like just put it on my phone so that anytime anybody calls me, they hear it.
Yeah, right. I know. I've been on their show twice, and I think I might make it my voicemail just because it's so dynamic.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Yeah.
Today we're talking about your newly published book. Came out in March of this year, correct?
Yes. March, April. Yeah.
Meta Story: What Marvel and the Messiah Can Teach Us About Great Storytelling. Tell us a little bit, what was the inspiration behind writing and publishing this book?
Wow, yeah. So it is the last 30 years of my life all put in together into one book of how to write and the intersection of faith and writing. It started when you read the book, the first chapter tells you kind of where it started. It started before it started as a book, but it started with a Jewish professor of mine at Columbia University at a secular school, who was really made a strong point to me. I mean, it's a longer story. You read, buy the book, you can read the whole story. But basically, he said the reason there's no great art being made in America today is because we've separated our faith from our art. We basically have said, art belongs just in this secular thing, and all of this mystical, spiritual stuff we have is not part of it. He said that true art is asking the same questions that religion is asking. Who are we? Where did we come from? Where are we going to? And that was the seed for me spending the next, like I said, 30 years. My dissertation at Columbia was on faith or art in the Bible, and just kind of like being open to seeing how God and art interact. So that was kind of planted the seed. As far as it being a book, it came around, about 10 years ago. I was giving one of these talks about here's structure, here's God's structure, see how they perfectly align. And my friend Bob Lee said, so when are you writing the book? He continued to pester me for 10 years of when you're writing the book. He's like, yeah, I'm about to go here. I'm going to advertise your book. When are you writing it? So eventually I got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I think I'm ready to put these ideas together and to get them down all into one book.
Boy, that's great. Good on you. Sure, a big undertaking, and it is a fat book. It's a great book.
Fat book.
Yeah, and it's well worth the read.
Thank you.
And Sean, too, I don't know if you recall, but we actually did meet each other. I don't know if you remember back in 2019, Sundance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we attended a screening together. I think we just sat next to each other. It's been, 6 years, but we also have some mutual friends. I know Shunli Fong.
Yes. Yeah. He actually just wrote a script with Shunli.
Yes. Tell me the name of it again.
Frustration.
Yes. He's been telling me about it, and it looks like a great film. I'm really excited for that film to come out. Could you tell our audience a little bit about your career history? I think it's very interesting. All the things that you've worked on from the entertainment world and, your professor at university at Asbury, everything from, your days at college to writing this book.
Yeah. I'm famous. Right. Yeah, I was born a poor black child, and for those of you who are Steve Martin fans, college. My college went to Drake University. I'm a public school and secular private school kid.
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that I'm teaching at a Christian university. But theater is where I started. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, and quickly fell in love with theater, and was like, God, what are you doing? Realized pretty quickly that I wasn't disciplined enough to be an actor. Those guys are crazy. So I was messing around with other things, and what I fell into was management and producing. So I went off, spent my senior year at the Juilliard School as a stage management intern, which got me to New York City. If you want to do theater, right?
Yep.
That's where you head. And then I had a little mini career going in theater in New York. Ended up working at Columbia University for their theater department under Howard Stein, who's the one that encouraged me to meld my faith with my craft. At that time, I wasn't a writer per se. I was, always telling stories. So as that kid who's always telling stories, but I didn't think you could make a career as a professional writer. It just didn't occur to me. But I trained to be a producer. So I was doing some producing in New York. Was general manager for an off-Broadway theater, and then God kind of arranged for me to head to Seattle to be the managing director for Taproot Theater, which is a Christian staffed company out there, which was my goal. My goal was to eventually become the managing director of a theater company that also was involved in new works. I was always interested in new works.
And it was our mutual friend, Dean Batali, then too,
Dean
right?
Batali, yeah.
I love Dean.
See, Dean was not working at the time. Dean actually, he loves to tell the story because he will tell people. I met my wife at Taproot.
Wow.
And Dean, the way that Dean will tell it, especially if we're in a Christian environment in front of Christian students, he says, yeah, it's because of me that Sean and Catherine are sleeping together. Because he was fired from the company, and which opened up space. Catherine ended up coming in after him. So he's claiming if I stayed there, you guys would never have met. I'm like, thanks, Dean. We appreciate you putting it in those terms. Yeah. But I became very close to Dean once I moved to LA. We remained very, very close. But at the time, we didn't know each other. I didn't even know about him because I came half a decade after he was gone. Yeah, but it was that's where I started writing as a profession. Our theater company, we were desperate for a script. I had an idea. I wrote a script over a weekend to fulfill one of our touring needs. Went to my boss and said, hey, a friend of mine wrote this. I don't know if it's any good. And he read it and was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what we needed. It's like he wrote it for us.
Wow.
Can we get the rights to it? And I'm like, yeah, it was me. And that kind of led to me moving more away from producing and spending more time as a writer. Eventually, when I left Seattle, it was to try to pursue a full-time career. By that point, I had written, which is another long story, but I'd written a script using VeggieTales.
Wow.
Not thinking that it would ever get made. It was my first video script ever, but here my friend Brian Ballinger, who was being wooed by them to be an animator there, he got it into their hands and they actually bought it. Phil rewrote me, and it became King George and the Ducky, which I actually have from opening one of the Duckies.
That's so great.
That stays on my desk. And yeah, it introduced me to the concept of writing for video, thinking about writing for television and film and not just theater. It really opened my eyes. I do have to say, I say Phil rewrote me and people are like, oh, how awful was that? And I'm like, it was fantastic. This is my first video script. It is not very good. I pulled it up since then. And he made me look really good. And that led to a lot of people contacting me saying, hey, yeah, we want a VeggieTales writer for our animation or somebody to look at this stuff. And we can't afford Phil.
Yep.
We can afford Gaffney. Here we go. So he kind of launched my career on that side.
Oh, amazing.
But that made me think of LA. So I went through Act 1 writing for Hollywood, and then moved down to LA, became friends with Dean Batali.
Oh, yeah.
Dean at one point said, you need to understand how the business works. So I want you to get a job on the lot. And that led to me getting temping at Warner Brothers, which eventually led to a full-time position as the story administrator for Warner Brothers Features. So I was in the feature department in story.
Can you explain that title, story administrator? Also, how cool, because I think Warner Brothers is the most amazing studio, one of the most amazing places in the world.
And it was a fantastic time to be there. I was there for all the Harry Potters. I was there for the Dark Knight movies. It was a glorious period of time.
That's the perfect time. Yeah.
For me, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, the story administrator for Warner Brothers Features, I just like saying it. When I got hired, I called my wife and I said, "This is going to look great on a resume."
It's such a
especially if nobody knows what it is. It's a great title.
It's amazing.
There's no creativity whatsoever to it. It's 100% administrative support to the execs who are putting together the movies.
Okay.
So we're the script library.
Yep.
We're all of the submissions. Anybody who wants a script to be made by Warner's, it comes to us first, or used to. They really cut down how they use the story department. But we'd also track all of the scripts in development. So every draft that would come in, we log it, we record it, we have our readers do a write-up on it. So we're providing that story support to the execs.
Cool.
It was a great department. It was a great time to be there. A lot of our readers were all just really whip smart people. That one of the readers, Diana, on the side was writing Jane Austen novels, kind of a thing. Others were like legal experts. Some of them were filmmakers. It was just a great department to be in and to study, because I was in the script department. I saw all the business end. My boss, Teresa Wayne, had been there for decades, so she had this entire corporate history of the history and development of Warner Brothers over time. Made some really good close friends there, and I had access to every script, so I could read. When we were doing I Am Legend. So I was able to go back and read the Omega Man, the Charlton Heston script, and the other movie. It's the third time that had been made into a movie. And as well as it was being developed, like they were trying to figure out how to end it, I was able to read all the different endings and kind of just keep track with it as we went, which is a huge education for me as a writer, just to have that depth. Fantastic time to be there. I really loved my time at Warner's. I still have the Harry Potter poster up behind me.
I love Harry Potter so much. I have that same poster.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the fun ones, because they're not in their robes. So it's like if you didn't say Harry Potter, some people are like, what movie is that? Yeah, so that got me to LA, and that got me doing movies, and I was also writing all along. Doing a bit more, I did a bunch more of the VeggieTales work and the big idea work, started to freelance at other places. That's where I started doing Superbook, which is another animated kids series through CBN. And I worked for that series for a long time, doing a lot of ancillary stuff as well as episodes. So this is how I was building my resume, writing some feature scripts, not really getting them made, but writing them, getting them read at least. Yeah. Interesting, I'm going to try to be brief on this, but we had a friend die. I think of him too, because I have the posters from his apartment. One of his posters is in my office. So it's just off to my left, so constantly reminding me. But Jack Gilbert, he was just an amazing Christian, amazing human being, and an amazing teacher. And he had taught all over the world. We actually, at his memorials, we had 4 or 5 memorial services for him, because one was too small for the number of people coming in. And they had a map of the world up, and people would be putting the push pins of where did they travel from. And he taught in Christian environment, religious environments, but also secular. So, people who worked on Friends. He ran the Warner Brothers television writing program for years.
Wow.
He had, one guy during one of his memorials got up and, said, "Hey, I'm not a Christian. I'm not like you guys. I don't believe in God. But I had trouble kind of understanding who this Jesus was. And anytime somebody said Jesus, if I thought Jack Gilbert, I understood what you guys were talking about."
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like that
gives
kind of
me
an
chills.
influence, right?
What a legacy.
Yeah, so a group of us after one of those services were sitting around talking. We're just saying, there is no one human being that can fill Jack's shoes. So we all vowed to each other that we'd each take a piece. So that led me to opening myself up to saying, okay, God, where and why? There was a school that he had taught a class at, and I said, maybe I could teach that class. And that started to snowball into God saying, no, I want you to go teach full time now. Which is hard. It's hard to.
I bet.
I quit Warner Brothers and left LA, doing what God told me to do. Yeah. And there's a back in your mind going, how many people think, oh, he couldn't hack it, and that's why he left, right?
Sure.
I wanted to wear a sign saying, no. It took me a while to go. Actually, the same person who encouraged me to write this book was the one who finally got me off my butt. Jonah is my patron saint. God tells me to go somewhere, and I figure out what's the fastest way in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So I was talking to my friend Bob after church one Sunday. We're in the church parking lot, and I was just saying, here are all the reasons why God is wrong, and I should not leave. You know, I've got this sexy job on a lot.
Right.
I got this career going. I want to be in the business, and I'm in LA. You know, like excuse after excuse after excuse. And Bob just said, "Oh, I get it. You're comfortable. Okay," and then walked away. It was like, crap. I instantly called my wife and said, "Yeah, we're moving."
Wow.
So then part 4, my career number 4 is as a full-time educator. But still writing, which is the nice thing about education is I'm still creating. I was still able to produce a feature film. I've had 3 movies made. And that was kind of the thing, is that once I left LA and went to the East Coast in the middle of Virginia, I had my first feature film made. I had somebody pick up one of my plays and performed a play that year. And I had an offer to be working and did some work on an animated television show.
Amazing.
It was kind of like
the door.
I was like, I was just waiting for you to leave LA so I could get your Hollywood career moving.
Yeah.
You obey God, and He's like, no, I got this. I got this.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's my career in a nutshell.
What a testimony. And it's amazing too how many doors open and how many confirmations you had as soon as you left LA, because that would be, you know, it's everyone's dream to work on the Warner Brothers lot, and such a cool title, working on so many amazing films, and then, you know, moving across the country back to the East Coast. But it sounds like it's been a very fruitful endeavor. How long have you been teaching now?
So I guess I've been doing this for 11, 12 years now, full time.
That's amazing.
Yeah, 12 going on 13. Yeah, and loving it, and loving being here at Asbury. There are some hard things on the journey. When you do what God tells you to do, nobody says it's easy. You know, we think it's like, oh, I'm doing what God wants me to do, so it's going to be success. It's going to be, you know, God told me to write this movie. Well, therefore, it's going to get made, and it's going to win an Oscar, and it's going to get right. And some guys said, no, I want you to make the movie for other reasons, and you're too small to see what those reasons are.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm in that stage of, you did what I told you to do, so now I'm rewarding you. So now I sit around, I love teaching, and I love getting to create stuff and having the time to do it. So I'm in that stage of, ooh, yay.
Right. And what do you teach primarily?
So I'm in the screenwriting media program. So we do have a screenwriting emphasis within media. So I do teach screenwriting classes, undergrad and graduate. But I also pick up, in graduate, I've got the master storytelling class. I'm about to start the second half of the semester doing a class called Writing Tools, which is about the business of being a writer. And then I pick up other classes outside of media as needed. So I teach we have a class that's kind of a speech. It's the speech class plus looking at our culture and how our culture is formed. So we have every student at Asbury has to take that. So there's like 15 different sections. So I can always pick up one of those. And then I do seminars. I actually just did a seminar, co-taught it with the president of the university on the Twilight Zone. So we spent a semester looking at the classic Twilight Zone, looking at episodes, and then just kind of talking about what is the episode saying? How is it saying it? How does that tie in with what God is doing in the world?
How amazing. I just posted, with Robert Redford passing, was it yesterday? He has that one episode in the Twilight Zone where he plays death, and and he welcomes the old lady, he said it's okay. Yeah. And that show, I just love that show. I remember growing up watching it with my mom, and I bet that was a riveting series.
It was wonderful, and it was wonderful watching these 20-year-olds who, we're not even, they're generations past it coming out. I mean, I wasn't conscious of it when it was airing as a baby, and seeing how 100% relevant it still is. It's like this is a series that they're talking about the 60s. Sci-fi is like cardboard flying saucers, but thematically it could be aired today.
It could.
if you played it today, people would be saying, "Oh, making political statements. Oh, why are you commenting on recent events so so accurately?" And it's like, yeah, from forever ago.
Yeah, I mean, and some of those episodes, I still think, obviously it's a little fuzzy because it's probably been 25 years since I've seen these episodes, but from my recollection, some of these episodes I feel like could be made into a feature film, and they would be better than 99% of the films coming out today.
Yeah. Oh, they all knew that they wanted to say something, right?
Yeah.
Which is
Very
part of
cool.
television. Yeah.
Let's get back to your book.
Mhm.
What's the reception been like so far?
It's been good. It's interesting. It's self-published. I guess I need to
I
lead
think
with
that's
that.
great.
Yeah. The niches that publishers wanted it to be in didn't work for me.
I get it.
There are some publishers that are like, you know what, if you just strip out the theology, we could sell this as a textbook for wherever. I'm like, well, it can still be a textbook, but the theology, that's the whole point, is the theology. And then others on the other side saying, well, if you just got rid of all of the screenwriting, storytelling stuff, we could turn this into a great book about theology. And like, that's not what the book is. So anyway, yeah, it's so far it's been received well. It's been reviewed very, very well. There are 4 universities and a writing program that are now going to use it as their textbook.
How great.
So yeah, hopefully it'll keep growing from there.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
this as an independent filmmaker, it's like, oh yeah, doing the self-hawking and the self-marketing,
Yep.
it's a haul.
Yeah, it's climbing the mountain.
Yeah.
It
I happen to too, one of the things I'll say too that kind of threw some people is they're like, oh yay, so can't wait to see all of the Christian films that you're referencing.
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm referencing The Godfather and Star Wars and all the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the Game of Thrones is in there. It's like, no, this is the premise of it, is that all story is God's story. All story points us to God.
Yep.
So I'm not going to hold back and say a certain kind of story. So people are like, oh, but what if people watch the R-rated movies you've got listed in there? I'm like, well, that's on them. I'm not advocating the movie. I'm just saying, here's good writing, right? The Passion of the Christ, R-rated. Here's good writing. Here's a good writing example. So
I love that you don't shy away from that and that you include all culture, because obviously there's truth across all spectrums. And sometimes, the non-faith films showcase those, as you call them, reluctant heroes best.
Yeah.
Can you speak more about the reluctant hero? Deeply theological, powerful character type, from Moses to Frodo. Why do you think audiences are so motivated by or moved, by the reluctant hero?
I think we're moved by the reluctant hero. I think the reluctant hero carries a deeper truth to it than we even realize. So Donna Parto, in her book, I think it's like a vessel God can use or something like that. Sorry, Donna, for not knowing it, but at least I got your name. She says when God wants to intervene in history, he does 2 things. He picks the wrong person, and he gives them a seemingly dumb idea. And I love that, and it's backed up in scripture, right? Moses, like 80 years old, stutters. He's going to be the mouth of God. He's hated by the Egyptians. Exactly. He's wanted for a crime he did commit.
Yeah.
Wrong person. How are you doing?
Wife.
Yeah, like so many elements to why he's wrong. And what's our idea? Like, how are you going to free millions of slaves? Well, we're going to go and we're going to tell the Pharaoh, hey, do you mind undermining your entire nation's economy so that my people can go?
Right.
Like, dumb idea.
Yeah.
You got a giant? Find a child and give him a slingshot. Right? Over and over and over again. And I think we like that. We see that in our movies, right? Frodo, wrong person. What are we going to do? We're going to give the ring to a hobbit and have him walk his way into Mordor. Dumb idea, right? Spider-Man, we're going to take a kid who can't even figure out his powers, and we're going to have him save the multiverse, right? Over and over again, we're going to take this arrogant millionaire and we're going to entrust him to choose to not be selfish. Over and over again.
Yeah.
It's the plot that we're looking at. It's not in all movies, but it is in huge numbers of the movies. And I think what it comes down to is we like it because we know that we're not the right person, and we know that alone we can't do it.
Right.
It's not because we're brilliant and we're strong that it's going to happen. It's because we know that despite the fact we're the wrong person, we have a God that can use us, and that we will get there with his power. So
I love that.
I think it hits our psyche in a way that whether we realize it or not, we're like, oh yeah. That's funny.
It's like whenever people ask me, like, why do you do Hard Faith? Even at the film festival, I was asked that. Why do you do Hard Faith? It's like, it's the reluctant hero. It's like, I do Hard Faith because then there's still hope for me, right? Like,
yeah.
If I'm showing these R-rated depictions of the faith journey, and this least likely hero can still succeed, can still be used by God in spite of himself, then maybe God can use me. And that's what I think, just like your book says, that's what audiences find when they watch these movies. Is like, well, maybe there's hope for me too.
Yeah. You just had Jason Munden on as a guest.
Oh yeah,
talking about Ripple. All right.
Yep.
And Ripple's another great example. Like the central character of Ripple is a washed-up alcoholic, deadbeat dad.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing redeeming about this guy from the outside. But I think part of what makes Ripple such a strong idea is it says, yeah, you're the wrong person. Let's go be a hero. Let's go, right? Let's step up to the plate. Let's do it.
And that's what's so refreshing too about scripture, is that it just doesn't do rosy colored glasses. Faith-based films, my biggest beef with them, as I've said before and I'll say again, is that they're so often whitewashed. They're censored, the rough edges are sanded off.
Yeah.
And that's just difficult then for most general audiences to relate with these characters because they're not that bad. And if they're not that bad, then we're not that bad, and we really don't need a bloody crucifixion.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be R-rated. I love that it is R-rated, and you've talked about this all the time.
Yeah.
We need movies across the spectrum.
Across the spectrum.
But being PG or PG-13 doesn't mean that the edges need to be sanded off. Another thing we have in common is believing that the Harry Potter series is one of the most Christian series out there. And I talk to people and they're like, yeah, but Harry's a bad example. He has anger issues. He acts out. He misbehaves. I'm like, yeah, that's exactly JK's point.
Right.
Is that he's not a perfect person. We're not making movies saying, hey, if you are a perfect person, you can do okay. You can be a hero. We're saying if you're an imperfect person, you can stand up and be a hero. And the fact that Harry, the thing that makes Harry a role model is that he's not perfect. Yes. And JK it's not washed down in the movies or in the book. Nobody ever saying, oh, this is proper behavior. It's a good thing that you're having your anger issues, or it's a good thing that you're skipping, that you're disobeying authority. That's not the point. The point is, despite that, you can make the right choices and do the right things. Then you're a role model. Right. If it's perfection, I've never been perfect. So seeing a perfect person act perfectly, not a role model for me. I can't attain that.
Yeah. Seeing
a screw up, do the right thing, despite the fact they're a screw up. There we are.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. Were there ever seasons, you had talked about like finding a right publisher, it's too Christian, or should it just totally be Christian? You being at Tappert, which was Christian, but then going to Warner Brothers. Have you ever felt seasons where you felt pressure to either separate your faith from your art, and how did you navigate those moments? Or like keep your faith, even at Warner Brothers, did you kind of have to like be a closeted Christian? Like, how did that work?
No, I mean, here's the thing about Hollywood that most people don't know. And if you want to know, talk to Jim and Karen Covell, who I know were at the Hard Faith Festival.
Oh, yeah.
And another couple that are really close. Hollywood is not the evil place that we say that it is. We like to create enemies.
Yeah.
We like to create the sense that what I'm doing is the right thing, and anybody who's not doing it is the enemy.
Right.
Even if that's, people who do work in R-rated movies must be the enemies.
Sure.
It's like, no, they're just Christians in a different way, right? Or the reverse. I had a student saying, well, if you're not working in R-rated, you're not being honest, you're not like, no, we don't need those divisions. So we've created this division. Dean Batali will say, if you ever hear anybody saying that Hollywood is Sodom and Gomorrah.
Mm-hmm.
Tell them to stop it. They're lying.
Yeah.
It's not Sodom and Gomorrah because there are more than 10 righteous people there.
Yep.
It is Nineveh. It's
Yeah.
Nineveh. We need to pray for it, and we need to send our people there to talk to them about it, right?
Yep.
So the people at Warner's, whether they were Christian or not, didn't really make the difference as to whether they were good people or not. And I rarely ran into anybody in my 13 years in LA that hated me for my beliefs, or even hated Christians for their beliefs. I found a lot of people who hated being judged.
Right.
I found a lot of people being hating being called evil.
Yeah.
I found a lot of people who hated people getting in their face and saying, "Hey, you're going to hell. Let's make a movie together." It was more of the approach in the individuals. It wasn't the system belief. So I worked. My boss was a Christian. The person who worked under her happened to be a Christian on two different sides of the faith, a Catholic and a Protestant.
Wow. How cool.
There was like, and people respected the heck out of her for her integrity. And it wasn't because they weren't saying, "Oh, because you're a Christian, we respect you." They're like, "Oh, because of your values, you act in a way that makes me respect you."
Right.
Are there people out there who hate Christians just in general? Yeah. Are there people in the church who hate people who actually act like they're following Christ? Yeah. Right. Who hated Jesus the most? It wasn't atheists coming up to Jesus going, "Oh man, I can't stand you. You're doing the wrong thing." It was the people inside the church.
Right.
And I think we forget that
Yeah.
a little too much. And we say outsiders are the ones that we need to watch for, and we forget to watch our backs for the insiders. So yes, I have been pressured. I've been pressured on both sides. I've been pressured by some people saying, "Hey, you could sell this script better if it didn't have the faith elements." I couldn't. My movie that eventually became Unlawfully Yours, Corbin Burnson eventually read it. If he hadn't, it would never have gotten made, because people were saying, "Well, it's not religious enough for the Christian market." An atheist is the hero of the movie, or others saying it's too religious for the secular market. And Corbin read it and said, "No, this is life. I love it," and therefore we were able to get it made. I could have changed it earlier. I had there was a network that said we'd be interested if you gave us the draft that is religion free. And I was like, well, that's just not the story I'm telling. And I'm here to tell a story. And so to betray the story just didn't work for me. I know I'm sounding all high and mighty. I'm not. Yeah. And even within the church saying, "Oh, hey, if you cut this, it'd be better if, my movie, the atheist is not the villain." And people are like, no, that doesn't sell well. Our people want somebody to hate.
We want God's not dead. We want them to die at the end and everyone to cheer.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have this cheering moment. Instead, we have a moment where we're finding wisdom from outside the church the way that the saints did.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so there's some of that. But I've never been in a position... I've never allowed myself to get into a position, because I would walk away from the projects long before it got there if I knew that that's where it was headed. If my values were going to be compromised, or if I was going to have to do something that I just really couldn't believe in, either from a Christian organization that I know wants me to pervert the gospel to make the gospel more marketable, because I do think that that's probably our biggest sin, is we like to make the gospel marketable.
Yeah.
So that's why
that's good.
If you become
speak more about that?
Yeah,
How do we do that? What's the biggest sin? How do we make
sin?
How do we market the gospel too much?
Yeah, accept Jesus, and all of your problems will go away.
Right.
That's
not true.
It's not true. Jesus very boldly says, "This is not true. You will be persecuted if you become a Christian. You will still have hard times, but you will have the Holy Spirit. You will have me." There's a lot of things that come with it. My yoke is easy. Right? There's going to be a burden. I'm going to help you carry it. That's the promise that's made. So people who say, "Yeah, become a Christian, you'll automatically be wealthy. Become a Christian, you don't have to work on your marriage anymore. It will just heal itself. Right. Become a Christian, your child will live."
Yeah.
All of those are marketing. That's all like more people. Who wants to join a church if you have to carry your cross?
Right.
So let's downplay that part.
Yep.
You know, who wants to go to a church that says that neighbor you hate, you have to look at him with love. That's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Right? Who wants to go to a church that says, you know what, just because you're believing in Jesus doesn't mean that the politician you voted for is sent by God, right?
Yep.
Right? They're all hard. So instead we say, no. If you become a Christian, you're the right people. You're the good people. You're in the in group. God hates the other group. God hates all those who are on the outside, just like you do. If you become a Christian, you don't have to work at relationships anymore. You know, just like the disciples, you won't encounter any problems ever again. Right? And we rewrite the Bible to make that happen.
Yeah.
I can tell another. Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's sad that the health, wealth, prosperity gospel has become so popular in this country and abroad.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, that we've marketed the gospel too much, and it's just not true. Because I know from my own, experience that when I converted to Christianity, in just about every way, my life did become more difficult. I did have peace that surpasses understanding, and yes, his yoke has been easy, but there is a lot of difficulties with faith. Sorry, you were continue. What were you saying?
No, I was going to tell a little a story. I'm debating whether I should tell this.
Tell it.
I was going to. I was brought in on Superbook, which is a cartoon about two kids and a robot who go back in time and relive Bible stories. And I was brought in by John Schaefer to kind of consult on it. I didn't really know much about the company. I didn't know much about what they were doing, but they were paying to consult. So I was like, yeah, let me go consult, thinking I had a weekend of work to do, and not thinking much beyond. Oh yeah, this job might continue. We were going over the story of David and Goliath, and in the setting up of that story, the first scene, David is protecting a lamb that is being attacked by a lion. The Bible says, yeah, I've killed lions, I've killed bears, and we thought, oh, we'll show that.
Sure.
We're sitting around a table, and the table includes people from all the different departments of the company. So not just the creatives, but a whole bunch of people. And the questions became, well, wait a minute. We're watching David kill a lion. That's going to be too rough for kids to watch. And at that time, we didn't know whether we're going to be. We thought we were marketing to 9 to 11-year-olds. But they were like, yeah, we want to make sure that they don't think David is a killer. They don't think David is somebody who's going to be mean and kill another creature or whatever. We don't want the kids to be traumatized. So they're talking about solutions and saying, okay, so he hits him with the staff. What if we see the lion get up and woozily walk away? So the kids know the lion's okay. They know the lion is safe. Right? They're coming up with other ideas. And at this point, I've checked out a little bit. Because I'm thinking, well, I'm done here. Right. I've given my advice. I've given my opinion on things, and I don't need to be working on a project that's having these kind of conversations. It's being a little. I was very, very arrogant in the moment as well. Gordon, who's the guy who's overseeing the whole thing, he had also checked out. He was like on his phone answering emails. He was not participating in the conversation. And John noticed this, and John turned and said, "Hey, Gordon, what do you think about this?" And Gordon just looked up from the phone and he said, "What does the Bible say? Does the lion die?" He says, "Yeah, it says that he killed a lion." It's like, we're not rewriting the Bible so that a 5-year-old will feel better. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm in.
I like that.
Then we're here.
So good.
Right? But that's the kind of marketing change we do. That's why the biggest case of genocide in history is marketed with cute little animals 2 by 2 on an ark, right? It's marketing. It's like, oh, how can we change the story so that our people will buy it, rather than how can we change the hearts of our people so that they buy into Christ and they buy into God.
Right.
Sorry, that was a long story, and it's okay with John and Gordon that I told that story, but that's what we need to be.
I love it. We'll assume it is.
Okay.
Yeah. You've taught screenwriting for years. What's the number one mistake that new writers of faith make, and how do you coach them through it?
Wow, the number one mistake. There's so many.
I know. I'm sure.
As Christians, the number one mistake we make is we think that we're marketing a gospel. We think that our job is sales.
Yeah.
As opposed to our job is telling true stories.
Yeah.
And we let the true story stand. So that's the first thing that we do is we ask ourselves, what does the church want to hear? What is my, here at Asbury, it's what does Asbury want to hear? What kind of, in order for me to get my A, what kind of story should I be telling? Instead of saying, dear Lord, what story do you want me to tell?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the story that needs to be told.
Yes.
The other mistake that we all make in the industry, no matter what job in the industry we have, is we try to become what is popular. What is everybody else doing? If I can copy what everybody else is doing, then I will be a success. There's a Christian company for the longest time. All they wanted to do was take whatever hit movie was at the box office and make the Christian version of it.
I remember when the Christian music industry did that.
Yeah. And instead of saying what stories are we supposed to be telling,
right?
And often the box office hit is the story God wanted out there. He didn't want us to make a Christian version of The Lord of the Rings, right?
It already is Christian.
It already is Christian. I have a friend who is hired by a company that was doing that sort of a thing, and they said, I wonder what a Christian version of Dead Man Walking would look like.
It's Dead Man Walking.
You mean the story about the guy on death row?
That's a great movie.
A born-again Christian came to and talked him through. He accepted Jesus as his savior.
Yeah.
That one? Yeah, I wonder how we could
Incredible.
make a Christian version of it, right? It is, yeah. And it doesn't matter who had made it. It's all Christ in it. Anyway, just in general, not paying attention to structure, not rewriting. That's actually a big one. Is young writers, new writers think you write a draft and you're done.
Right.
And the majority, we say over and over again, writing is rewriting.
It is.
The majority of the shaping, the majority of the character development, the majority of getting the dialogue right, all of the other mistakes that you're making are fixed in the rewrite, not in the first draft.
Right.
So I think knowing that it's a rewriting thing, and then the number one mistake becomes individuals. Like, what's your personality? The perfectionist, the number one mistake is you're never finishing your first draft. You're so caught up on trying to make it perfect.
Right.
You're not
just get it out.
Anne Lamont tells her students, write a crappy first draft.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want you to write. I want you to make it crappy. And she's not saying make it crappy. People are like, no, you don't need to make. She's just saying get it done, because that's not it. It's like, I won't mold my clay unless it's perfect as I mold it. It's like, no, you're gonna be pushing sections over here and mushing things over here, and this sort of looks like a head. Mm-hmm. Eventually, it will look like a head.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Keep molding.
Keep molding.
You talk a little bit in your book about the Christian ghetto and Christian subculture. How do you steer your students or other artists, Christian artists, out of the Christian ghetto, out of Christian subculture? Just like you're talking about how there's let's make the Christian version of Lord of the Rings.
Right.
How do you steer people away from creating just for the Christian ghetto? And explain a little bit to our audience in case they don't know what that means.
Yeah. So we kind of have our own our retreat. It's like a culture. We don't like the culture of the world. So our response is we're going to leave the world and we're going to create our own culture, our own music, our own movies, our own books. So we don't have to be tainted by what's out there.
Right.
And that's fine as far as it goes. It's a bad idea if we're really trying to avoid interacting with our culture, because you can't change culture if you're not part of culture.
Yes.
Michelangelo famously said, criticize by creating. You don't like that statue? Make a better one.
Yeah.
You don't think there's enough beauty in the world? Put beauty in the world, right? So that's kind of
a great quote.
Philosophically step one. Step two is misunderstanding preaching to the choir. Because when we say something's preaching to the choir, What we really mean is you're just telling the choir what they already agree with.
Yeah.
The choir needs to be preached to.
Mhm.
Our problem is we're not preaching to them. Our problem is we're saying, you're okay, don't worry about it. It's the guys on the outside. They're the ones who need to change. So within our Christian culture movies, our Christian as marketing, when we talk about, Christian movie, it's a dumb title because it doesn't mean anything. So I'm going to use it here as movies marketed to Christians. That's what I'm going to mean by it. They should be challenging. They should be, the Christian audience should be uncomfortable watching them. They should walk away from it thinking, oh my goodness, I need to become better in this area. I need to grow. I have stagnated. And this movie has inspired me to go beyond. Like the same way we watched The Lord of the Rings and we're thinking, well, I'm just one guy. What am I going to do? Well, he was just a hobbit. Inspires you to I want to be more. I want to do more. Are we being inspired to want to do more? Or are we being just told, hey, no, just keep sitting on your couch. You're fine. You're good. Just sit there and don't worry. The atheists will get hit by a bus and we're fine. Right?
Yeah.
What are you actually saying? Are you preaching to the choir? I will say this, at Asbury, we're prepping people for everything. We're using Hollywood as our standard. I'm not comparing my writers to, what's at the Christian festival. That's how good you need to be. I'm saying what just won the Oscar. That's how good you need to be, right? God is looking for quality. So that's our standard. I don't know where God's going to send you with that. God might be asking you. I'm sitting here saying, "Oh, Christian Ghetto. I worked on VeggieTales. I worked on Superbook.
It's still really good though. VeggieTales is still good.
Thank you. And being able to, and that's what we want to say, right? So we want, and the nice thing about VeggieTales, Phil Vischer's entire vision is Christian or non-Christian. I can tell people I wrote on VeggieTales and they're like, oh yeah, my kids watch that all the time. I'm like, really? You don't even go to church. It's like, doesn't matter because it is so good. So that's our standard, and that's okay because we need people in the Christian movie business. We need them in the Christian television business because that's a market too. If you know what that market is really for, if you're really doing God's work in it,
right.
And some of it is just when I go home at night and I just turn on, I've been binging Psych lately. It's a silly TV series. It's not deep. It has deep moments. It has something to say, but sometimes I just can't be watching, the Godfather again or something, right? Yeah. It's just like I just don't have the emotional energy to do something deeper, and sometimes that's what our subculture movies are supposed to be. This is for fun. This is so you can relax a little bit. There's room for that, but what we don't want to do is take all of our talent and put it just in that box and not have any of our talent out there talking to the rest of the world. So, hard faith fits in there because, something like Ripple is blatantly Christian. It's not a secular thing, but it is pushing our boundaries as Christians of what do we judge and who do we look at and say God can't use them, and then, realize, oh yeah, our own limitations, right?
Right.
So what I tell my students is I don't know where God's going to send you. He might send you to work in a Christian or a religious environment. He might send you to work at Warner Brothers.
Right.
My job is to prepare you for either of those places. What are the challenges when you're working at a ministry? Because more people are abused and spit out because they work at a ministry than there are that work at a lot of secular companies.
So true. Sad,
so
true.
What do you have to guard against spiritually? How many companies do we know? How many ministries do we see collapse because the leader of the ministry set themselves up as God,
right,
within it, and everybody has stopped questioning, right? So how can you hold on to your integrity? Who do you know who you are? How do you do that when you're at Warner Brothers? How do you do that when you're trying to be at a company that doesn't believe, or a company that is going in a direction? Dean Batali talks about being called to be salt. He said, salt doesn't preserve things forever. It just slows down the decay. The meat is still decaying. You put salt on meat and you wait 8 years, it's not going to be pretty, right? Sometimes your job is but you need to be strong and you need to know that to go in. So I'm prepping them from a faith point of view as well as from a writing point of view for that. Wherever you go, you know who you are in Christ, you know what you're called to, and you've got the skills and the the workarounds to be able to take that into any environment.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other major thing I do, which also goes to your question, is it's not my job to give you the Asbury voice. It's not my job to give you the Sean Gaffney voice. We have Sean Gaffney, right? We have, going back to what are some of the mistakes you make is like, if you're trying to be, if I want to be the next Christopher Nolan, forget it. We've got Christopher Nolan. We don't need the next one. We need the next Spencer, right? We need the next Joseph. We need the next Jason. We need the next Becky, right? Who are you? Who did God make you? God made you as an individual for the group, right? He made you as an individual for the benefit of all. Some of you are made to be eyes. Some of you are made to be fingers. Some of you are made to be feet, right? Paul talks about this. We're not all supposed to be the one thing. So who are you and where is God drawing you? God is drawing you to work with kids. That's fantastic. Let's go there.
Yeah.
And now we've got kids taken care of. If God is calling you to take care of the choir, beautiful. Let's do that. Devote your career to taking care of the choir. Has God drawn you to take care of the prostitutes and the tax collectors? All right, great. Let's go there. And if we all accept who we are and who Christ is forming us to be, we've covered the world.
Right.
There isn't anybody out there that we're missing, because that group that, you might be making. We talked to Charlie Carner talked to Act One years ago. He had made an R-rated movie, and somebody from the Christian organization said, I would never recommend that to anybody in my church. He's like, good, I'm not talking to them.
Yeah.
Right? Well, I can't remember if it was you or Jason in the last one that said, I'm talking to the world. The church can listen in if they want to.
Yeah, Jason said that.
Yeah, so it's being hit.
Yep.
If you're doing what you're supposed to be doing and you're trusting that your brothers and sisters are doing what they're supposed to be doing, then we're covered. We're speaking to all of culture, and we're changing culture because we're speaking to it.
How do you talk to your, let's say, I don't know how often you interact with the freshmen or incoming students, or even, faith-based filmmakers that say that sentiment, like, oh, I don't watch secular films. I don't watch PG-13. I don't watch R-rated films. Like, I don't consume that kind of culture.
Mm-hmm.
How do you address that? How do you talk about that?
Yeah, I say good.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
It's not, not everybody's going to get out of, watching one of the going to the Hard Faith Festival.
Sure. Not
Not everybody is going to get out of that what some people are.
right.
Because again, we're made different. We hear differently.
Mm-hmm.
My sister, I have come from a large family. My sister, her kids, she didn't have a cable running into the house. Nothing was watched on their TV that wasn't brought in on a DVD or a VHS. And that she doesn't understand my Hollywood obsession. She's like, good for you that you're watching, Big Bang Theory. I'm not going to. Yeah. Right. I'm like, fine. That's who you are and how you're being fed. Paul tells us, hey, not everything that's bad for me is bad for you, and not everything that's bad for you is bad for me. But that also comes with the caveat of just because it's not bad for you doesn't mean everybody else should eat it.
Right.
Right. So there's a dual dual direction to that. So if you're not watching that, if that's not your bag, fine. I do want to challenge it if it comes down to, because God doesn't want us to do that.
Right.
To go, okay, so Paul should not have been reading the poets of the people from Greece. Is that what you're saying? We're supposed to be in the world, not of the world. There's a paradox there. And if you're saying, hey, if I don't go into the world, I'll be okay, because then I'm not of the world. I'm like, well, then you're choosing the easy way out.
Yeah.
And choosing easy is not the answer, right? Dumbledore.
Yeah, and it's never the right choice.
Right. You're going to be asked to choose between what is right and what is easy. Yeah. And if Jesus says go into the world, and you're like, hey, good news, Jesus. I know you sent me to Nineveh, but they're sinners. I would have been tainted if I went there. I didn't go there. You must be happy with me. It's like, no, I told you to go. It's like, yeah, but you would never want me to be tainted, right? We're arguing with God when we do that.
Yeah.
So I think I talk to potential incoming students all the time.
Yeah.
And really it is, Or are you honestly saying that because that's what's right for you? It's true. Like nobody should be taking poison. You know, why would we give our children snakes, right, when they ask for bread? And it's poison for me. There's things for everybody. For my wife, it's visual violence. Can't handle it. It burns into her brain. It haunts her. It's not good for her soul. For me, it's sexual violence, and even talking about sexual violence, it hurts my soul. It damages me to hear about it. So I don't watch shows that are brilliant. When people are like, "Oh, that's a great show." There's the movie Voice of Freedom or something of freedom, where they go and they help people freedom. Yeah. Is that a good movie? I don't know. I'm never going to watch it. Yeah, because I can't sit through that subject matter, even if we're not seeing it. Even the Law and Order SVU.
Oh yeah,
can't watch it. Can't watch it. It doesn't matter that it's PG or it happens off screen. Like it's just something for me.
Yeah.
If you know yourself well enough, and that's part of what I get my students to go. I said, you have to, if we're gonna reference an R-rated movie, or if we're gonna have a screening of an R-rated movie, or PG-13 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I tell my students we have to be adult about this, and being adult about it doesn't mean, oh, I need to be grown up enough that I can sit through a movie with all this swearing and not have it bother me. That's not being an adult. That's being a child pretending to be what you think an adult is supposed to be. Being an adult is saying, no, that damages me. If I listen to too much language, it gets into my head, and I'm repeating it in my head, and it degrades my value of language. Right? Not everybody's David Mamet. It's not all poetry, right?
Yeah.
So that enough to know that you're not going to watch that movie, and we'll come up with a substitute. Enough to know I have sexual triggers. If I watch that sex scene, it's going to damage me. Then don't watch the movie. Whatever it happens to be, whether it's the violence, whatever aspect. I know it's kind of a long answer, but it's living Christianly in an R-rated world. I don't know who said that. Is a hard thing to do.
It is.
It's a hard thing to do. It's right there in the title, right? And we're called to hard. We're called to, one of my complaints, you got me on a soapbox. One of my least favorite phrases is, don't go there. It's a slippery slope. And it's one of my least favorite, not because it's not true, but because we are called to live on the slope. We are called to get better. We're called to grow. You can't grow if you're not on an incline.
Yep.
If it's flat surface, you can't grow.
That's right.
So we're not called to avoid the slippery slope. We're called to realize it's slippery. We're called to know where we are, and we're called to wear the right shoes. We're called so that we can go up that slope, not down that slope. So
I agree. And, so often I think that Christians avoid difficult things mostly out of fear. Like even the theme for next year's film festival is do not fear. And I think it's the most repeated commandment in the Old and New Testament.
It is, yeah.
And sadly, I think it's what damages the Christian walk and the Christian church and our witness the most is just fearing other man, fearing our own comfort and security, fearing what, if we'll be right or wrong, and how we, are the messenger, the reluctant hero.
Yeah.
And that's not supposed to be the driving force of the equation, is fear. No. And yet so often it is.
And it is. And that's really where the question comes down. It's like, are you avoiding that thing because you're afraid, or are you avoiding it because you know what it is?
Right.
For me, even moving out of Hollywood, it was fear of what people were going to think of me.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm not answering God's call.
Yeah.
Or fear that I might be proven wrong, or fear that, whatever it is. Yeah, be not afraid. John Paul II had an entire chapter of a book just on be not afraid.
Wow, I need to read that. It sounds amazing. Sean, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Please tell our audience how they can purchase your book and how they can follow along with your journey.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah, so my book, again, is called Meta Story, What Marvel and the Messiah Can Teach Us About Great Storytelling. And you can I have a website, www.gaffneyinkwell.com. That's GAFF as in Frank, NEYINKWELL.com. You can go there to find the book. You can also sign up for my newsletter. I have a monthly newsletter on screenwriting, or there's also a link there to get to my vid series where I break down, do little moments in movies. I just do a little 5-minute, here's a moment, here's a good example of this term, and you can check those out. It says www.gaffneyinkwell.com. If you don't want to go there, you can just go to Amazon or any place that sells books. You can find my book. On the socials, I'm at Gaffney Inkwell on most of the socials if you want to try to find me on the socials.
Right. Thank you so much, Sean.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, wonderful conversation. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Hard Faith podcast. Please subscribe and share. Visit hardfaith.org to learn more.